Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contract Warrior podcast. Today we're going to talk about the aggressive contractor. I am your host, Christopher Williams. I am a former contracting officer of 17 years with NAVFAC, and I have worked cradle to grave, contracting for services, construction, A&E, REAs, and claims, all the things. I'm here to support you, to support the warfighter, to help bridge the gap between government agencies and the federal contractors. I have an awesome training available for you to help close that gap immediately. It'll help you communicate better to the KO, and even if the KO is not receptive, you can still communicate like a champion. And all you have to do is head over to thinklikeyourko.com and get the free training, and there you go. If you want to give me some feedback on this podcast, you can absolutely head over to contractorko.com and let me know how I'm doing, and if you have any questions or any information you'd like me to share on future podcast episodes. With that said, let's talk about the aggressive contractor and what that looks like. So in all my years of federal contracting in several different field offices where you work hand in hand with federal contractors of all shapes and sizes, the aggressive contractor is hilarious, and here is why. In the end, you have to be well-balanced with the expectation and understanding of what your opposing partner is like. So it's kind of like running a golf ball through a garden hose. The aggressive contractor tries to plow forward as fast as they can and causes bigger issues for themselves. And this is just really unfortunate and not well received throughout the duration of the contract. It might be from the onset, or it could be in the middle, but when the aggressive contractor comes up with an issue like, I don't know, a 60-day gap in their schedule because they have no other activities to keep them busy, that is a problem, right? Whether they need to demob or remob, and when they have to reallocate resources or try to navigate their logistics, or they're so aggressive and some of their logistics fall apart and now they have to hurry up and try to get it all in place. So what makes a contractor aggressive? It's a contractor who has no patience for the process and takes a position as if they own the entirety of the situation, as if there isn't a partner in the equation. A contractor who thinks they don't require a demolition plan to do demolition on a federal facility. A contractor who thinks that because they've done it somewhere else, they can do it the same way here. Or a contractor who thinks that if the contract doesn't say it, they can do whatever they want. Contractors that take an aggression stance because they think they can. And generally when this happens, it is very rare that it's the contract owner and the project manager collectively. Usually it's just the project manager and there's an issue with them, right? Individually. And I may have mentioned this before, but a lot of these facilities that are in like open areas, far out into the desert or far out into the mountains or far out away from these major cities, generally contractors don't send in their A-game staff, right? Their top project manager doesn't go out into the middle of the desert to support a child development center. Usually they're doing other things that are closer because they want to retain that individual, right? They don't want to disrupt and lose that person. They want to make them happy. They might have their family in Los Angeles and they don't want to send them out to the desert to 29 Palms or wherever, or to Yuma, Arizona to do, to work a project. That's punishment. So that is purely my opinion, but purely my observation that the contractor, the owner, the actual CEO, the owner of the company has made an executive decision to submit whoever to be the project manager of that particular project. It is so funny when it happens. Okay, from a contracting officer standpoint, it's hilarious because it's entertainment. It's entertainment simply in the fact that the contractor has not read the contract or does not understand what's happening. And so it doesn't happen often. So when it happens, it is entertaining because it is so bizarre. And so aggressive anything, an aggressive KO is bizarre. An aggressive customer is bizarre. Aggression in general has no place when it comes to safety and accuracy on federal construction or service contracts, whatever, any contract, right? We don't need that because there's enough to digest, there's enough to work through as a team. We don't need aggressiveness. And that's what makes me laugh is when a contractor takes a position that is idiotic, unprofessional, and not bipartisan. It's absolutely partisan, as if the federal government's going to step aside and say, "Oh, by all means, do what you will. You're right. Run as you will. Let me know if you need anything. If you need a glass of water, I'll give you one." That is absolutely not the environment in which you sign up for when you come aboard a federal installation and you are now having to provide a deliverable on a federal contract. And it says just as much in the regulations. Okay. None of that says servitude. None of that says um, dominance, right? There are roles and responsibilities, quality control, quality assurance. And some of you might think, well, Chris, you sound like you're like blowing that out of proportion. Maybe that person's just really excited and really motivated to do quality control. No, that's not the case. Because if that is the case, they would be speaking from that position. But no, those individuals or those examples I just spoke about are actually not from a quality control position. It's from a, hey, we can get there and do what we want when we want. We don't need to wait for a review and approval. It's a disregard for quality assurance. So it's really unfortunate. Luckily, it's not the rule. It is actually rare, but it exists, right? It really does exist. Now, there's another angle to this where a contractor is absolutely normal, ready to, we do the partnering, we do the pack meeting, or we do a pre-con, whatever. We get out there to break ground and start construction. And when they get into the middle of it, right, the middle of the project, especially when an interim eval for CPARs is presented or what have you, they get aggressive. Suddenly they have a change in demeanor. And normally it's a spark. Something sparked this contractor. And I don't mean the company, but it does represent the company, right? Something sparked this project manager to get aggressive or to not answer the mail or to be aggressive in emails, quit submitting RFIs, and to just create turmoil. And basically some of the correspondence is borderline childish and just horrendous. When in fact, there needs to be supportive information for everything. It's not a prerogative. When the contracting officer is asking for certain information, it's not a prerogative. It's contractual. So with that said, I understand that it flips both sides, right? Where the federal government also can be aggressive and the contractor has to deal with a personality of somebody on the government side who is just micromanaging, or maybe not even saying a word, but is there every day to watch over this seasoned contractor and their performance when they can absolutely walk and talk and feed themselves. They don't need any coaching. And the federal government representative is all over them like a shadow. That too is incorrect. But for the purpose of this episode, that's what we're speaking of, right? Is aggressive contractors. We also have aggressive customers, but we're not going to talk about them right now as well. So with those aggressive contractors, what ends up happening is they burn bridges quickly, and their support, even if the government wants to support their aggression, can't. You simply cannot. It's that it's that golf ball through a garden hose. You simply cannot jam it through. The bureaucratic process is simply the bureaucratic process. So the contract provides an option in most cases to try to be aggressive, and we can say that in the formation of a fast track schedule. But guess what? It needs approval before it's implemented. You can't just fast track because you want to, because you think you can fast track for this month, but next month you want to go back to a slower pace. It's not a prerogative. You have to be able to demonstrate your means and methods before you get going. This is what I'm planning to do. and I need approval before I get out there and start going. So I will say this, the aggressive contractor is generally brand new. They're usually brand new to the agency or brand new to federal construction or brand new to the location. Even though there is a contract and there's agency policy, there are different cultures and different offices that undermine that policy and generate bad habits for contractors. But contractors can't get off that easy. And here's why. If you stay true to the contract at every office, you can't go wrong. You will not go wrong. So when a contractor falls prey to that office culture, they're wrong. They're wrong because they know very well that the federal employee who's facilitating that ability is wrong, because you have a higher standard as that quality control, right? That liability, that warranty, the end product, it's your reputation, it's your job site, it's your construction project. And that's just the role, because you do not want quality assurance to take lead on quality control. That's terrible. Who in the heck wants to fly in a plane that's been, has tight oversight by a quality assurance representative? No, I will fly in a plane that has nice and legitimate quality control oversight, but not quality assurance oversight. So when the pilot gets ready to fly, they look over the plane, but they're not the mechanic of the plane. Quality control is the mechanic. The pilot is doing quality assurance before they fly. That is the same thing with construction. You do not want the government to be the mechanic of your construction project, right? So when we get aggressive contractors, we can't hurry them along even if we want to. But the contract does identify an option for the contractor to be aggressive if they want to. But again, it's bilateral, because you would submit a fast track schedule if it's in the contract, that option, a fast track schedule. KO would review it, and if it's approvable, would approve it. And now you are going to adhere to a fast track schedule when you perform. That's the case. So it is unfortunate. And for those who think that they can do whatever they want and you're listening to this podcast, just know you need to dial it back and do everything bilaterally and ensure the contracting officer is in lockstep with what you're doing. The contract is in lockstep with what you're doing. Stay the course of the contract. Now, with that said, if you want to be able to communicate better to your contracting officer, of course, as I mentioned, I have an awesome training for you. Just head over to thinklikeyourko.com and go ahead and grab that free training. If you want to give me some feedback, telling me I'm doing an awful job or a good job, what have you, you can head over to contractorko.com and fill out the information to give me feedback. I greatly appreciate it. This is great for me to do. I enjoy doing it. Your feedback would make it that much more powerful, and I'll use some of it on future episodes. And with that said, thanks for your time. Have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode.